Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Now, if you're a chemistry or engineering student right now, maybe cramming for an upcoming exam or just feeling a bit overwhelmed by the sheer amount of material you have to cover, I want you to just pause for a second. Take a deep, quiet breath. You are in exactly the right place. Today, we're not going to rush through stressful equations or force you to memorize arbitrary rules. Instead, we're going to explore a really beautiful, entirely logical way to understand the natural energy that's just kind of sitting there, stored in the physical world around us. We're going to unlock something called Dulong's formula together, and I promise you, by the end of our time here, it's going to make perfect, peaceful sense. So I want you to imagine, just for a moment, holding a single, solid piece of coal right in the palm of your hand. It feels cold, right? It feels totally inert. But inside that dark, quiet stone is a literal treasure trove of trapped, invisible energy, just waiting for the exact right conditions to be released. It's kind of like a hidden warmth. But how do we actually know exactly how much warmth is in there? How do we measure something that we can't physically feel until it's already burning? Well, that is the exact question that working engineers and chemists have to answer every single day out in the real world. Uncovering this hidden energy, it isn't just some abstract academic exercise. It is literally the very first step in understanding how we can responsibly and efficiently power our society. Because before we can build a massive engine or heat an entire city, we absolutely have to know what our fuel is actually capable of giving us.
Let's dive into Section 1, the hidden warmth.
Okay, so to measure this potential energy, we use a really elegant concept called calorific value. By definition, it's the total quantity of heat liberated when a unit mass of a fuel is burnt completely. Honestly, I absolutely love the word liberated here because it reminds us that we aren't creating energy out of thin air. We are simply freeing up the energy that is already resting quietly inside the fuel. Calorific value is basically just a fundamental measurement of a fuel's natural capacity to supply heat.
Moving right along to Section 2, what makes a fuel?
Now that we actually know what we're looking for, that liberated heat, we need to mentally zoom in, right past the rough, dirty surface of that piece of coal, and look at the microscopic elements that actually make it up. Because a piece of fuel isn't just one monolithic solid thing. It's a mixture of ingredients. The primary elemental ingredients found inside our fuels are carbon, hydrogen, sulfur, and oxygen. I want you to think of these exactly like ingredients in a baking recipe. Just like how your flour, sugar, and butter dictate how a cake is going to turn out, these specific amounts of carbon, hydrogen, and sulfur dictate exactly how much heat a piece of fuel can realistically release. Each of these chemical elements reacts with oxygen during combustion in its own unique way, contributing its own specific, predictable amount of warmth to the overall fire.
Which brings us to Section 3, the heat recipe.
This brings us to the real core of our explainer today. We're going to look at Dulong's formula. But please, don't view this as some stressful, terrifying equation you have to blindly memorize for a test. I want you to look at it simply as a heat recipe. It's just a way to calculate the theoretical heat of a fuel based entirely on those exact ingredients we just talked about. Chemists have already done the heavy lifting and carefully measured the heat values for each ingredient. Carbon gives us 8,080 kilocalories per kilogram. Sulfur provides a pretty modest 2,240. But look at hydrogen. Seriously, look at it. Hydrogen is incredibly energetic, providing a massive 34,500 kilocalories per kilogram. It is completely the powerhouse of our fuel recipe. So if you want a fuel that burns incredibly hot, you definitely want a fuel that is super rich in hydrogen.
So if we know the percentage of each element mixed into our fuel, calculating the higher calorific value, or HCV, starts off wonderfully, beautifully simple. We just add them up. We take the percentage of carbon and multiply it by its heat value of 8,080. We add the percentage of hydrogen multiplied by its massive 34,500. And then we add the percentage of sulfur multiplied by 2,240. Finally, we just divide the whole shebang by 100 to turn those percentages back into standard workable numbers. See? It's just simple addition and multiplication. But, well, in nature, things are rarely quite that simple, right? There is a really fascinating little catch to this recipe.
And that perfectly introduces Section 4, the oxygen catch.
You might have noticed that in our heat recipe so far, we totally left out one of the main ingredients we mentioned earlier. Yup, oxygen. Oxygen actually plays a really unique and, frankly, slightly disruptive role in this delicate chemical balance. See, the crucial point here is that when oxygen is naturally present inside a solid fuel, it doesn't just sit there politely minding its own business. No way. It actually actively bonds with some of the hydrogen. And what happens when oxygen and hydrogen combine? You guessed it, they form water.
good old H2O. In chemistry, this is considered fixed water that is locked right there inside the fuel itself. And as you can probably imagine, water does not produce heat when it burns. In fact, it just boils and turns to steam, which literally sucks energy away from our fire. Because of this little chemical kidnapping, we can't just use the total amount of hydrogen in our heat recipe. We actually have to figure out how much hydrogen is truly available to burn, free and clear from the oxygen. In chemistry by atomic mass, exactly 8 parts of oxygen combine with exactly 1 part of hydrogen to make water. So essentially, those 8 parts of heavy oxygen steal 1 part of our precious hydrogen, completely neutralizing its ability to give us that heat we want. Therefore, to find our truly available heat-making hydrogen, we must take our total hydrogen and subtract the oxygen divided by 8, H minus O over 8. When you think about it that way, it's a very logical, straightforward adjustment, isn't it? And this brilliant little adjustment is exactly how we arrive at Dulong's complete formula. As you can see, it looks exactly like our original simple recipe, but just with that one necessary correction swapped in. We still have our carbon, we still have our sulfur, and right in the middle, instead of just blindly multiplying by all the hydrogen, we multiply by the available hydrogen, H minus O divided by 8. When you actually break it down ingredient by ingredient like this, you realize it's absolutely not some intimidating string of textbook letters and numbers meant to trip you up. It is a perfectly balanced accounting of nature's actual potential.
Let's wrap this up with Section 5, a peaceful perspective. Now that we've calmly walked through the microscopic math and assembled our formula, let's take a breath and zoom back out to see how we actually apply this in the real world. Like, why does taking the time to calculate this calorific value actually matter? Well, it matters because it allows us to evaluate the true, objective quality of different fuels before we ever burn them. By understanding this simple formula, engineers can maximize efficiency in massive power plants. They can responsibly choose the absolute right fuels for the right jobs, ensuring that we power our modern society without unnecessarily wasting our planet's incredibly precious natural resources. Ultimately, it's all about being good, smart stewards of the energy we have. I really hope that looking at Dulong's formula this way has been helpful for you. Remember, textbook jargon and long formulas on a whiteboard shouldn't cause you anxiety. An equation is never meant to be a test of your worth as a student. It is simply a tool, really, it's just a language that we use to understand the natural potential, the delicate balance, and the quiet beauty of the physical world around us. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder today. The next time you happen to look at a piece of coal, or maybe a log for a campfire, or even just a drop of fuel, what will you see? Will you just see a dull, lifeless object? Or will you see the precise balance of carbon and hydrogen and the profound hidden warmth quietly waiting inside? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep breathing, and take care of yourselves.